I wouldn't have said that. Are you moving it around? How's it going, guys? Awesome, Mayo. $30,000 a month. Passive income. Put Mr. Gorgeous. Where does he go? You never know. I know you guys. The eye candy's a little off screen right now. $30,000 a month and passive income with Indiana Real Estate. How do you make that happen from out of state without leaving your house? If you're an out-of-state real estate investor, this guide you can get for free at bigria.com. Go down there. We're going to go through this today. We're going to go through the math. My promise to you is this. You will have the clearest instructions that any human being has ever walked you through on the mathematical formula to go from zero to $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month in passive income with Indiana Real Estate. As an out-of-state investor, you could be out of the country. We have heroes all over the world that we're working with and doing this. Did you move Mr. Gorgeous? Where'd he go? All right. How does he? Guys, go through this. You can go download this. I'm going to go through this with you right now. You don't need a calculator, although if you want one, if you want to be a giant Puss in Boots, you can use one. And we'll go through this together. bigria.com. Go there. You can get this free guide. I help out-of-state investors create passive income with the Indiana Real Estate without ever leaving your house. This is a quick introduction from Anna. I'm Ozzy Mayo, rhymes with KO. My good friend and I, Anna, I had met her. My friends and I have invented a whole bunch of ways to buy and sell real estate companies, hundreds of companies and thousands of real estate deals in about 20 countries. My life changed. I have a son who has special needs, and we developed a therapy to help special needs folks with business building, entrepreneurship, and real estate investing skills. And that's how I met Anna. Together, we're building now the world's largest organization of special needs business owners. You can read all this here before. When you're finished here today, you'll know the following. You know exactly how to create any passive income of $10,000 a month, $30,000 a month, and beyond. You'll see exactly how all the math works. You'll see what kind of properties you need to recycle your money, and you'll see you can use the same $50,000 to buy $5 million worth of real estate again and again. You'll see countless real life success stories and deal breakdowns. Guys, we have more. You got to go through our deal dissection series. I know people like, oh, these deals don't exist in the real world. I'm telling you, we do go through countless. We have hundreds of, over 100 now deal dissections. I think over 200 now. Different deal dissections. We break down real life deals so you can see exactly how these principles apply in the real world and how we're helping heroes do this every day. Ain't no thing, man. Easy stuff. Easy breezy. You'll see countless real life success stories and deal breakdowns. Instead of just hearing about theory or how it's possible to do deals like this, you'll see exactly how we've done this hundreds of times for people all around the world, and you can see how you can apply to become an investor as well. If you're a good fit, go to bigria.com. You'll also get a free downloadable worksheet that you can use to calculate your own timeline to reach 10 to 30 grand a month. Guys, this is a mission. This is a movement. There's so much time that's spent and that's wasted on doing things for money. Once you break out of that, once you break out of the matrix, right? Once you get your passive income up, you'll be able to change your life. The most important thing you're going to do, the most important question you'll ever ask yourself is, how will I spend my time today? The most important thing you're going to do with your time, financially speaking, is create passive income. It'll free you to open up to be able to not only create income ascension for yourself and others, but then to contribute to the causes you care about, like our special needs group, things that you care about. The single most important skill you can teach people right now, especially in these rising economies. Africa's 38 countries, 1 billion people, almost all of them, many of them, more than any other time in history, are under the age of 15, under the age of 20. As these new people come, these new groups of people come into our world and come into society, they're able to skip. They don't have dial-up. They're getting right to Wi-Fi. They're able to go through they're skipping generations of technology, and they're able to come in with tools that we use. We can help them access the most brilliant parts of their mind, have massive and much exponentially better contributions that'll improve all of mankind. Guys, this is beautiful, brilliant stuff. You got to be part of that. You got to break out of the matrix. You got to get out of the rat race. You got to get out of the process that everybody's involved, where you're just going and clocking in. And do that, you got to create passive income. Remember, all generational wealth is passive income reinvested. So you get this downloadable sheet you can use, and you can figure out mathematically exactly what to do. A little bit about Anna here. We have the number one YouTube channel for Indiana Real Estate. Guys, thank you so much for that. The hockey stick growth we're having, 1,000 hits a day, 100 downloads a day on our podcast, and 1,500 hits across all media. We're not just the largest real estate channel in Indiana, not just the largest real estate channel in the Midwest, but the largest real estate media company in the Midwest. All kinds of great stuff. It's all because of you. You guys have done that, and because of that, I always make sure when I sit down that I'm going over some sort of life-changing information, something that by the end of this class, it will be transformative. Did you put Mr. Gorgeous back up there? Oh, he's on the side now. Okay. All right. So, guys, go to bigria.com. You get all kinds of, you could download this and we can go through this together. So hopefully you've gone through our previous passive income classes for Indiana real estate investors. If you're an Indiana real estate, out-of-state investor, we've gone through this series. It's like 19 classes on how to create 10 to 30 grand a month of passive income. Tip number 1, how to get realtors to bring you $25,000 deals. Tip number 2, how to pay off your rentals in under 3 to 5 years. Wow, that's amazing. Awesome. You're welcome. Tip number 3, Burr explained how to buy 20 rentals for $50,000. The same 50 grand, just recycling that money. How many houses do you need to make 30 grand a month? We went over the exact math there. How to turn 10 grand a month into over $100,000 on a single deal. The class on leverage. We got a lot of great feedback on that. Appreciate that. That was tip number 5. Tip number 6, how to wholesale correctly and make 100 grand a month ethically as a wholesaler. Guys, everybody hates wholesalers. They're a bunch of LCs. Laws are changing. That class, we go in depth exactly how to build a business to go from 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 grand a month and beyond. These are the 6 tips we have. This is tip number 7, which is how to create the exact math you need to create passive income. Who's controlling that thing? I'm not doing that. Are you? I'm not. All right. I'm going to leave it alone. I'm just going to have it on the other side too. All right. So I'm not touching it. All right. Let's get started. Okay. So what are you going to do? You're going to create what we call your forever fund. What does that mean? Let's put Mr. Gorgeous down here. All right, your forever fund. What does that mean? What exactly is a forever fund? I don't know where it is. You can control it. Forever fund. What does that mean? This is an amount of money. Think of how much money you need right now. So we always stick with $10,000 to $30,000 a month. How much money do you need to live comfortably and to pay all your basic bills, just to be able to survive? That's going to be what we call your foundation. Then we have your fence. Then we have what we call your fortress, right? So if we start with the basics, it's going to be usually 3 to 5 to 10 grand. I've never met anyone who says they can't live off of 10,000 US dollars a month, right? Then we go, the number we use is the high end of that initial phase is 30 grand a month. So if you have 30 grand a month coming in autonomously, totally passive, you should be able to live comfortably and you shouldn't have to need all that money. A forever fund this is the most important concept with all we're doing here. It's to understand this simple concept. It's like a money tree and you can live off of the fruit. You never touch the actual tree. It produces enough money that you're able to live off of comfortably and be able to do everything, not just that you need, not just that you want, but all your fantasies as well. So figure out whatever number that is, 30 grand a month, 50 grand a month, 100 grand a month, whatever that is. We're going to come back to exactly what you need to do to make that happen. You can live off the return and never touch the actual money. The way this fund is generational and it lasts forever, the forever fund. An amount of money that creates a certain production, a certain ROI every year, every month, every week, every day that you're able to live off of. Think of the forever fund like a giant money tree. By living off the fruit, you never touch the tree. Over time, the tree continues to grow and produce more and better fruit. So it doesn't just create the 30 grand a month, but it compounds over time. The tree also produces seeds that can be used to plant other identical and bigger trees. This is where we talk about other companies. We do real estate and businesses. Today, we're just going to talk about real estate. But what you really need to do is get equity across all different types of assets, like, different types of companies. And then you can start investing in companies that are like your dream project, things like our special needs group or things that you want to do. Go to bigria.com. We have a list of like 20 different crazy companies that we have, everything from time travel to subatomic particles to cloning to having no meat ever, no animal ever hurt for food again. We are big on not hurting animals for food. All kinds of stuff. Companies and causes and movements and changes that you want to make in the world. What all those people need is capitalism. They need the entrepreneurship skills, and you can learn that at Big Ria. But specifically today, we're talking about creating passive income so that you can go and you can start investing your time into the causes and things you care about. All generational wealth is passive income reinvested. A genius just said that like 5 minutes ago. First, you need equity that is productive. These are the two things. Equity, passive income is equity times production. That defines passive income. Equity times production. Second, you need to be able to live your dream life with the leftover money. So you be able to take that money that's reinvested, but you live off a part of it, but then you reinvest the rest. Third, you want to reinvest that extra and let the equity compound over time. So 30 grand a month become 40 grand a month, 50 grand a month, 100 grand a month. You guys get that, right? Everyone's got that? Yeah? Question? No, just go ahead and say you don't know. I don't even think the mic is working. So the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Oh, that's a quote from somewhere that's I'm gonna take credit for it. Who wrote that? If you don't have the mic doesn't work. No, it's a great quote there. I appreciate that. Let's do the forever fun math. Let's do this math together, you guys. Passive income formula. Where did you put Mr. Gorgeous? Did you keep moving him? You could put, all right, put him up there. All right. No, it's fine. The passive income formula is equity times production. So we'll refer to this repeatedly throughout this class, throughout this workbook. You can use this equation. All of you have this right in front of you. You guys we're all going to do this together. You can use this equation, even if you've already done it, we'll do it again, to calculate for any desired passive income. For our discussion, our income goals, our target goal is going to be $10,000 to $30,000 US dollars a month. So for 10 grand a month, here's what we want to do. Passive income, remember, equals equity times production. So if you want $10,000 times 12 months, that's $120,000 a year. So now $120,000 equals equity times 0.08 or 8% production. We'll talk about that in a second. That means our equity goal equation, we're already moving through this, right, is $120,000 times or divided by 0.08. All you got to remember for today is divided by 0.08. Just take any income we want, multiply it by 12, any monthly income you want, multiply it by 12, and then divide it by 0.08. I'll tell you where we get the 0.08 in a second. 0.08. In this case, if you take this out, do it in our calculator. Should we do this together? Should I get the calculator out? I'll do this with you guys. All right, let's take the calculator. All right, here's the calculator. Is there, do we have to see Mr. Gorgeous? Do we see Mr. Gorgeous on there on the screen? All right, we take $120,000, right, divided by 0.08. What's this going to give us? It's going to give us 1.5 million. That tells us right here, $1.5 million. Okay, that's what we're looking at now. This is our equity. We need $1.5 million at 8%. To make $10,000 a month of passive income, I need $1.5 million of equity with 8% production. Remember, our formula is equity times production. You guys got this? Everyone's got this, right? 1.5 million with 8% production. Look, we're like 7 minutes into this, not even, and already you've got one sentence now that we can weaponize and we can use as your mission from now on to create passive income. You need 1.5 million in equity. I know it seems like, well, what is that? What good does it do to say, look, when you see how easy and how quickly you can get to 1.5, it's going to blow your mind. It's crazy stuff. But just right now, let's just focus on this one sentence. Everyone has this, right? 1.5 million of equity with 8% production, right? So let's talk about the 8% production. Why am I using 0.08? So what's a 1% property? We have, go to Big Ria, search 1%. We have all kinds of classes where we talk about this. What does 1% production mean? 1% house. A 1% property, a 1% house means means that this is how we get the 8% production. So a 1% house rents for 1% of the value. A house that is a $150,000 house rents for $1,500, for example. That would be a 1% house. The 150 grand house that rents exactly what I just said. Generally, the range for 1% single family residential SFR is $100,000 to $150,000. So there's something called 2% house. What does that mean? That means a house that's worth $100,000 but it rents for $2,000. Now there are many houses like that. No, 2% houses, the range is going to be about $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, but $50,000 is a cutoff. It's going to be about 40 grand. So if you buy a house for $40,000, are there houses that rent? Go to Zillow and search Indianapolis State Fairgrounds, and you're going to see 2% houses all around the fairgrounds. We've made that area famous. What that means is that you have a $40,000 house, right, that rents for 2% or $800 a month. That does happen. Not 30,000 is more often. You can buy a 30 grand house that rents for $600. Can you buy a $50,000 house that rents for $2,000 or for $1,000 a month? No, that's very unlikely. Are you going to get a $1,500 house, a $150,000 house that rents for $3,000 a month? No, no way. Nowhere in America do you find that regularly, right? So 1% houses, there's 1%, 2%, and 3% houses. 3% houses are meth labs. They're only going to be like 20 grand. You could buy a house for 20 grand that technically rent for $600 a month, but to collect rent every month, you're going to need SEAL Team 7 to go get the rent. We don't mess 3% houses. They're all basically meth labs. We buy them sometimes and fix them up. We've had deal dissections on that. 2% houses, there's an interesting conversation there. You could buy 2% houses around $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. Remember, 2% houses, maybe $45,000, right? You can buy a $45,000 house that rents for $900. That's kind of pushing it, right? But it can be done. We're not even going to mess with that. We're going to stick with 1% houses. Easy come, easy go. These are all over the place. 1% houses, if you know what you're doing. Generally, the range for 1% houses is going to be $100,000 to $150,000, meaning the maximum that we can buy a single family residential house, this is an important thing to know, is $150,000. We're not going to find a $200,000 house, for example, that rents for $2,000 a month. Just ask yourself, if you had $2,000 a month, could you buy a better house than a $200,000 house? The answer is almost always yes, right? What are you saying? Is there something with what are you saying to move you can move it however you want. Skin stuff. My skin stuff, you guys acting up. It usually goes up around my eyes. Eyebrows stuff start coming off, but we're working through it. I appreciate that. You keep saying stuff when you point like that. I always get self-conscious about my skin stuff. I appreciate the kind words and kind thoughts, guys. Getting a lot better. Thank you so much. So we clear on this 1% house, right? So the 1% house is going to be $100,000 to $150,000, right? That's where the 1%. That number is really important. $100,000 to $150,000. We don't find 1% houses above $150,000 usually. We've got a few in our deal dissections, but we're using them as an example. So we just got a $180,000 house that rents for $1,900. That's above 1% at $180,000. Very rare. That's why we're using it as an example to say this is not usual. But in that case, it's important to see where we're going to go with this. But right now, just understand we need 1% houses, and we're going to find them at around $100,000 to $150,000. So if we want properties in $150,000 to $250,000 range that are going to produce 1%, we need duplex. Because are there duplexes that you can buy for $200,000 and each side rents for $1,000, giving you $2,000 a month or 1%? Yes, there are, right? Exactly. All the duplexes we do are like that. The reason we buy duplexes is because we can buy one property at $200,000, $250,000 and it produces 1% rent, which is what we need up here, this 1%. You get what I'm saying? This is a magical number here, this 1%. So single family residential, we're only going to be at $100,000 to $150,000 at 1%. Duplexes, we can even go $3,000 because we have one of our deal dissections is a $300,000 property. Each side rents for $1,700. That's above a 1%, right? But for normally we need 1% houses, 2 to 250 is going to be the range. We can find 1% properties, duplexes above 250, but that's not, we usually 2 to 250. So 1% a month, here's the math where it gets really interesting. 1% a month is how much a year? How much is 1%? You better get this, or I'm going to punch you. All right, 1% a month is 12% a year, right? Now, at 70 to 80%, if you go to a bank and you say, hey, I've got a rental property, and they say, okay, well, you're getting income on that property. How much of that income can you show against your debt? It's going to be about 70 to 80%. We're going to go, if we did use 70 to 80%, 70 to 80%, 70 to 80% of 12% is, don't look at that, right? You should be able to do this quickly in your head. Go to my math class to do these things really quickly in your head. 70 to 80% of 12% is 8.4 to 9.6% a year, right? We're going to go with 8%. Remember, how do we get the 0.08 to divide by? This is how. It's a very conservative number, 8%. 8% of 12. What is that? That's 2 out of 3. That's 66%. Guys, if you have rental property, pretty 66%, the bank is going to take it back. They're just going to shoot you in the face. What kind of moron are you? 70 is a low number. Most banks use 80, 85, sometimes 90%, but 70 to 80% is really conservative. 66% is the number we're using when we say 8%. Point being, we can say very comfortably, very easily that if you have a 1% property that's going to be producing 12% a year, you should at least be able to produce 8% out of that property. Does that make sense? That's how we came up with this 8% up here. So when we want to look at how to create passive income, why are we dividing the number by 0.08? Because our production is going to be 8%. Does that make sense? 8% production. So that's how we come up with the 8%. That's how we come up with the properties, the price of the properties. And now we start, all of a sudden we're zoning in on a number. Now this number here, 1.5 million equity with 8% production, looks a little bit different, right? Do you see what's going on? If not, there's some great videos here. Look at this gorgeous guy, the single best looking human being on the internet right down there, made these videos. How does a money recycler work? Click the videos below. This allows you to reuse the same money to buy multiple properties. Because now the question is, how do we get that 1.5 million in equity, right? right? Because that seems like it's pretty difficult. No, not really. How do we get, can you guys still see this out here? Are we still, do we need to move this? All right, so this allows you to reuse the same money to buy multiple properties. BRRRR is you buy the property, you rehab it, you rent it, you refinance, repeat. We add a few steps for the money recycler. Since we're always renovating the properties, you're going to have less upkeeping costs. Normally, you're going to have about 50%, safe number to use, that's going to go out of that monthly income that you're getting. But because we basically redo the entire property, you're essentially only paying for taxes and you, aside your what's called your debt service. That means if you buy the property for a $200,000 loan, payment you're making on that $200,000, that's your debt service. So you're not netting all the money, all the gross rent that you're getting. And it takes time to pay these properties down. We have two kinds of equity. We have potential equity and then we have actual equity. Remember, there's only three ways to create equity. We have to pay down the debt, we have to increase the income, we have to increase the value. And so what we're doing, we're not even going to talk about all the wonderful ways we pay down properties. We have another class on that, but you can pay down your properties really quickly. The point right now to look at is how do we collect this 1.5 equity or potential equity. So here's an example deal. $250,000 duplex, less than 1%, but they're still good deals. So the purchase, rehab, holding costs, everything else. This is a deal dissection called Brooklyn. You can check this out at bigria.com. We have all kinds of deal dissections. This is one that we're actually getting ready to refinance right now. There's another deal dissection we're going to have where you're going to see the exact payments on this. And when we do a deal dissection, we don't just say, oh, here's a deal, here's how much money we made. No, we take you week by week. Here's an update on the property. You can see how much it costs, what's happening, what are the challenges that come up, how do we adapt to deal with the challenges, how does our team, our amazing, beautiful team adapt. It's like getting a PhD on how to create deals. Remember, great deals are never found, they're always made. Go through the deal dissection series and you'll have hundreds of examples how to create deals when everyone else looks the other way, people think it's nothing there. It's always there. There's a great line we use from Dennis the Menace. He throws a boomerang over Mr. Wilson's fence and he's like, hey, I threw my boomerang, it didn't come back to me. Mr. Wilson's like, well, if you threw the boomerang, it didn't come back to you. It's just a stick, so leave it. See, that's what people are doing. All these investors are looking for boomerang. Don't do that. What Dennis the Menace does, he starts to turn sticks into boomerang. So then when one of the kids like, oh, we can't do anything, all I've got is a pile of sticks. And he's like, no, that's a pile of boomerang. That's how you've got to be. Get good at making boomerang. Get good at creating deals. And that's what the deal dissection series will do, and totally for free. What a guy. He's so good. Anna does all those. Appraisal value at $250,000. So our refinance is going to be 80%. When we refinance our property, it's going to be for 80%, the refi of the BRRRR. So you can do 85, 90%. We usually stick with 80%. So that means you're going to refinance that property for $200,000, but he's only $190 into it. So he pulled out $10,000. All the hard money, all the cost, all the interest, all the money down was $190 altogether. You refinance it at $200,000. You pull out $10,000 more than what you put in. And now your payment, I think the payment was like $1,200, something like that, because it was a 20-year mortgage. So a $1,200 payment, and now you're grossing $2,000 a month. And now you've got all the money you put into the deal and $10,000 extra to go to the next one. This is one of the worst deals we have on the duplex. That's why I've used this as an example. We have other ones where they're pulling out $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 from that closing. So imagine putting all your money into a property. You put, let's say, $20,000, $30,000 down to buy a $250,000 duplex that's at 1% or roughly around 1%, right? And then when it's all said and done, 60, 90 days later, totally renovated, totally brand new, you've got brand new tenants in there paying $2,000 a month, $2,500 a month, whatever. And now you refinance that property, you get all your money back out, but then you also walk away from closing with $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. So you can go and you can do the next deal. You see what I'm saying? That's how this money recycle and the BRRRR process works. Now with more money, you have more money than you put in, all that money back, you repeat and you use the same funds on the next deal. So now you can go out and buy 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 properties, more than that, and you've only used that same $50,000 to go in and keep recycling that same 50 grand. You get what I'm saying? If you have any questions on this, go to these classes here. I talk in depth about this. I won't cover this more right now. You've got to understand this. Everyone should be clear on that, right? What you end up with is 3 or 4 or 5 properties and you spent the same $50,000. Now, if you're doing the math, you're thinking, wait a second, that's really interesting, right? Because if these are $250,000 properties and you buy 4 of them, where are you at right now? Where's your equity at? It's at $1 million. If you buy 5, if you buy 6 properties, where are you at? Oh my goodness, you're at $1.5 million with 6 properties. We have in our deal dissections, you see heroes who've bought 4 or 5 properties in less than 90 days, less than 120 days. It's like, wait a minute, you can actually get to that 1.5 million at light speed if you've got the right team. You've got to have the right people that understand this. And now you're thinking, wait a second, if I can get that 1.5 million, much less than the first year, now how do I get that 8% production? That comes down to the equity because you've got debt service, right? So we have to hold off on that. It's not like you're going to be making 10 grand a month in 90 days in passive income. It takes time to create the equity. You have potential equity, but you also have debt service, right? And then we come down to how do we pay our properties off really quickly. There's a few classes on that. Okay, so this is the next part here. Let's talk about collecting and creating equity. Where's Mr. Gord? I'm not seeing where you're moving it. All right, how many properties do you need for 1.5 million? Since we can maintain the production of about 8% or 1% properties, we need $1.5 million worth of 1% properties. So think about this from now on. You need 1.5 million or 2 million, 3 million or whatever of 1% properties, because that way you'll know that you're producing at least 8%. If we are buying $100,000 to $150,000 properties, you would need 10 to 15 properties or 6 properties at $250,000 duplexes, right? So $1.5 to $4.5 million at 8% is $10,000 to $30,000 a month in passive income. Now for the time. Now we'll talk about the time in a second. How long does it take to do that? But guys, this is the magic number. 1.5 million to 4.5 million. This is our equity range times production. introduction, that 8%, if we have $1.5 to $4.5 million worth of 1% properties, you're at 10 to 30 grand a month. It's that simple. Isn't that just such a beautiful sentence? And I just showed you, we go through our deal. And again, you got to go through our deal dissections because we talk about these are real deals happening everywhere. They're not that difficult. If you know what you're doing, if you've got a well-trained team, you could do this at, extremely quickly. I mean, it doesn't take that long. How long will it take? There's two parts here. Collecting the equity, potential equity, it has debt, and then creating equity. Remember, there's only three ways to create equity: pay down debt, increase income, increase value. Collecting. If you buy 2 properties a quarter, that'd be about 8 to 10 properties per year. Creating. To pay off the mortgages will take time, usually 3 to 10 years. This depends. So we have what we call the collection time, and then we have the creating time. Usually the creating time is going to be 1 to 3 times longer than the collection time at least. So how can you accelerate mortgage payoff and equity creation? Here's 5 quick ways. I won't get into these right now. It's not the point of this class. We talked about this many other places. This is what we're doing with our heroes right now, so they can pay those properties off at Lightspeed. We normally get you financed with a 10 to 20 year mortgage. We don't do 30-year mortgage. We do 10 to 20. That's why your payment's going to be a little bit higher. We also put all the lenders, all the money, all the inspections, all the entire process our team does. We have everything. You call us. You don't need to call anybody else. If we work with you, which, you want to go through the application process, we want to make sure we're a good fit, because everyone we're working with, we work with for years. It's just not a short-term thing. We got to make sure we're a good fit. We also put all the positive monthly cash flow straight to the principal payoff. This is something that you got to know ahead of time. You're not going to make any money on these properties until we pay them off. So if we work with every single one of our investors, we tell them up front, listen, you have to have healthy income, usually 150, 200 grand plus, and you have to have money, about 50 to 100 grand cash right now. And you have to be okay with not seeing anything from that for a period of years. You're not going to make any money, because all the money that you get, we need to dump it back in, because again, we got to get to this 1.5 million. We're trying to create passive income at Lightspeed, and that means every dollar that you spend on pizza or whatever you're going to do, it's a dollar we take away from creating equity. We got to take all that extra cash flow and we dump it back on that mortgage, do an accelerated payoff. Number 3, we continue to do BRRRR deals, and we apply appropriate funds if it makes sense. So remember, when we're doing that BRRRR process, when we're doing the money recycler, we buy correctly. Basically, think of BRRRR, it's really simple. All you're doing, everyone understands, buy a house, fix it up, and sell it, right? That's all BRRRR is. You're buying a house, you're fixing it up, you're selling it. There's only 2 distinctions. Number 1, you're selling it for 80%, not 100%, 80%. And number 2, you're selling it to yourself. You're buying it from yourself. So if you want to walk away with cash, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 grand, that means you have to have bought the property at such a price that after everything, you're into it at an amount that's less than 80%. So you need to be into like 65, 70%. Follow me? So if it's a $300,000 property and you're into it for 70%, there's a 10% spread, or $30,000. So you get all your money that you put in, all the down payment, everything in, right? You get all that back out. And then on top of that, you got 10, 20, 30, $1,000 that you can use to put on the next deal. So sometimes when we do that, we take those funds and we throw them down on a mortgage. And then as soon as we have one paid off, we get a line of credit on it, or the cheapest money we can, and we pay off the second one. And now we have a much cheaper payment. Number 4, we continue to run other parts of the business, such as models and side flips. Go through our other stuff. We have all kinds of brilliant models and things that we do. We have classes that explain our other methods, like using a line of credit on the first payoff, like I just said. Here's a few classes on this. All you have to do is click this. Download this PDF. It's totally for free. Click these videos. This is like hours of stuff, by the way. Then here's a deal dissection, or here's a duplex or single family. We cover the numbers again. Guys, our mission here is to create, we appreciate you so much. Right now, I gotta tell you, man, how lucky, how grateful I am. I get emotional when I talk about this. This channel was something we started as an experiment with Anna, and we are now making more money on this, enough to pay our rentals off. So I appreciate you so much. From the bottom of my heart, man, I'm so freaking thankful for you, man. And I want to express my gratitude by giving you the single most in-depth, most concrete, most complete, start to finish, A to Z education when it comes to creating income ascension and passive income and social mobility. All this stuff is free. I promise you, if you want to create passive income, nobody on earth has gotten more people to 10 to 20, 30 grand a month, 100 grand a month and beyond than our team. From 0 to those numbers, nobody's done that more than our team. And I'm putting all this knowledge into all these steps, all these policies, all of our checklists into these videos. Check them out. I promise you, it's great stuff. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. You'll like it. If you don't, it's all free. What are you bitching about, right? Here's another series of classes. A tiny sample is over 1,000 more videos like this at BigRia.com and our YouTube channel. Flip houses and our podcast. Flip houses in India without leaving your house is a class Anna did. Indiana Turnkey Investors. Go how to do this without getting scammed. We've got a whole thing you can download. Questions to ask people. BRRRR deal. Here's a deal dissection. No such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing. Oh, I love it. Like the Dennis the Menace thing. Don't look for boomerangs, look for sticks. You can look for sticks you can turn into boomerangs. Here's a 20K BRRRR deal. What do you do if there's a crack in the foundation? Here's a brand new 33 grand flip. We don't just have BRRRR and buy and hold. There's basically 2 things, buy and hold and flip. There's great examples of each one here. $38,000 real estate flip, Indy turnkey investing, Indy property management best practices, brand new 30 grand flip. If you have a property in Indianapolis, even if we're not going to make money, you have any questions, you have anything, I'll love at BigRia.com. I promise you, whatever your challenge is, if you have any challenge with Indiana real estate, man, if we don't have time, we'll make time. I promise you, we will solve your problem for you. We're on a mission. Things have been great for us. This has been a business. This can change lives, man. I know what this business can do and what these resources and what these assets can do. And if it's not doing that for you and you're having challenges, let us know. I promise you, we'll put our resources to help for you. We have a great page that has a list of all kinds of people that can help you. BigRia.com. bigria.com/people. bigria.com/people. It's a list of people you can contact and call. If you need help finding the best people out there, just let us know. So this is all kinds of stuff on Indianapolis and on Indianapolis real estate and doing all this stuff. It's like getting a PhD, man. I promise you're gonna know more. There's not anybody in Indiana or in the Midwest that'll know more about how to create passive income and how to do it with Midwest real estate than you will. A few extra thoughts here. I never attempt to make money in the stock market. Oh, you put quotes. Great. Always great for compliance. I never attempt to make money in the stock market. The stock market is designed to transfer money from the active to the patient. Only buy something you'd be perfectly happy to hold if the market shuts down for 10 years. We also call this a 10-year rule with people. Don't work with anyone that you don't think you're going to be talking to or you're not going to be good friends with in the next 10 years. There's nothing capricious in nature. The implanting of a desire indicates that its gratification is in the constitution of the creature that feels it. Basically, if you have a dream, if you have a goal, it's there for a reason, and it's only there because God, the universe, whatever, has put the resources, the capability of achieving that goal in you. I'm going to read this again. There is nothing capricious in nature, and the implanting of a desire indicates that its gratification is in the constitution of the creature that feels it. Money is like love. It kills slowly and painfully the one who withholds it and enlivens the other who turns it on his fellow man. Give it away. What you want, give away. GXM, volunteering stuff. My favorite things in life don't cost any money. It's really clear that the most precious resource we all have is time. Steve Jobs, he was at odds of male levels of brilliance, right? Always listen to Steve Jobs. Guys, if I have one thing to say, it is that your life is a melting block of ice, right? We're all running out of time. And the older you get, the faster time goes. We spend a lot of time talking about time and all kinds of things like gravity, consciousness. We have a whole class, the double slit experiment, quantum physics for real estate investors, and different experiments we're doing on consciousness and its effect on time. But the bottom line is this: the most important thing you're going to do with your time, the most important question you're going to ask yourself, like I said earlier, is how will I spend my time today? And the most important thing you're going to do, financially speaking, is with your time is to create passive income. You can buy back your time and do the things you really care about, create the changes you want in the world, make things happen. Money's not the most important thing in the world. Love is. Fortunately, I love money. That's not fun. It's a joke, right? It takes as much energy to wish as it does to plan. Guys, that's what this is. That's what the GRS program is. The GRS model is planning, understanding. You know what? In 3 to 5, 10 years, I want to have 10, 20, 30 grand a month. Here's the exact mathematical formula to make it happen. I'm going to put together a plan. I only need about 100 grand. I'm going to recycle the same money. I'm going to get the right team. I'm going to make it happen. Do this on the side. Live your life normally. Live off the income you have right now. And in 3, 5, 10, 15 years, no more than 7 to 10 to 15 years, you'll have 10, 20, 30 grand a month passive income. Easy breezy. People often ask if they can really do this. Don't doubt yourself. Here's something to think about. I love this. It's one of my all-time favorite quotes. I put this down there. Thank you for including it. People always say, like, can I really do it? Can I really make 30 grand a month? Often when I talk to people, I say, what would it be like how different would your life be if you were making 50 grand a month in passive income? And their eyes just light up and like, oh my gosh, never even thought about that. Really, just think about this for a sec. Don't just hear the words I'm saying. Imagine yourself. You were making 100, 200 grand a month, whatever number is out there in passive income. Well, how would your life be different? How soon would you know? You know as soon as you woke up, right? As soon as you felt the silk sheets or whatever, right? You know immediately, right? But I want you to take a second and think, do you really believe that's going to happen? For most people, if they're being honest, they don't think it's going to happen. They often say to me, oh, awesome, I don't think I can really do it. Think about this quote when you hear that. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. You are not a drop in the ocean. It's from Rumi. You are the entire ocean in a drop. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. You have unstoppable power in you, guys. And the fact that maybe you've accepted LC stuff or accepted limitations on yourself is something that you can fix instantly and immediately. It's not that difficult. Probably the top reason why I made this class is because so many people think that it's outside of the reach. Guys, it's not. I went over the math. It's just a matter of math. Whenever I have students who succeed, I always ask them, how'd you make 10 grand a month? How'd you make 5 grand a day? How'd you make, 120 grand a month? And they always say the same thing. It's just math. It's just physics, man. It's not that hard. Passive income worksheet below. So let's check this out. This is your forever fund calculating for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 grand a month. Let's use 50 grand a month as an example. What do you do? 50 grand a month. We talked about this. You want to make 50 grand a month? Easy breezy. Take whatever income you want. Let's say it's $50,000 a month. Multiply it by 12 to figure out what you need per year. So you need $600,000 per year. 50 grand a month is 600 grand per year, right? Now we take that number and we divide it by what? What do we divide it by? 0.08, right? How do we get 8%? Because of 1%, right? That's $7.5 million. That's what you need in equity. To make 50 grand a month, you need $7.5 million. Now look at the next part here. How do we do that? How do we make $7.5 million? Now, if we're going to use 1%, so this means basically, if we take $7.5 million divided by $150,000 houses, right? How many houses do you need? You need 50 houses, right? So in the deal dissections, you're going to hear people who are picking up 5, 10, 15 houses in less than a year, less than 6 months. They're able to do it at a pretty accelerated rate. So 50 might sound like a lot, but it may take you 3, 4, 5 years to accumulate that. Remember, we're collecting the equity first. And while we collect it after the first year or so, we start paying it off. But this is a much easier to attain number than it might seem, 50 houses. But look at this. What happens if we start going down here to 1%, $100,000 houses? Then we need 75. So we could take the middle of that, say it's about 60 houses, about the $100,000 to $150,000 houses. If they're all 1% houses, we're going to need 50 to 75. This gives us a range. How many single family properties do you need? It's going to be about 50 to 75 houses. 1% houses between 100 to 150 grand, right? Now let's talk about duplexes. How many duplexes do you need? Guys, check that out. That's only 30. 30. There's heroes in the deal dissections that have gotten 10, 15 properties in less than a year. You could get enough income, enough equity, collective equity, potential equity. You could collect enough equity in like 2 years to, look, I don't want to project. I want to say you should see the math yourself. Once we understand how many properties per quarter you can acquire with your assets, your resources, divide that by 30 if we're using duplexes, and now you know how many you need, how long is it going to take you, collect the equity that you need to make 50 grand a month. Now, these are different than the 10, 20, 30 grand a month. But the point here is that you want to use this sheet to calculate any passive income you want. Then you figure out how many $150,000 properties at 1%, how many $100,000 properties, that becomes a range. You become so much more intelligent now because now you can say, if I want to make 30 grand a month, I need $4.5 million worth of 1% property. That could be X amount of single family, X amount, any combination, and X amount of duplex. And then what happens is as we work with you, as we put together a deal, we just fill these in. We say, okay, that was a $100,000 property. This was a $150,000 property. Hey, we just picked up two $250,000 properties. Look at that. Look how close we are. We color in our thermometer as we go. It becomes a game. Look how close we are to getting to that, the target of, 4.5 million, of getting to 30 grand a month and passing. You get what I'm saying? It's really exciting. So properties per quarter. How many properties per quarter can you acquire? If we're doing 3, that's 1 a month. So that's about 10 to 12 properties per year. So now we take the number of 1% properties, the target, divided by the properties per year. This is how long it takes to hit the property target. So if the number of 1% properties divided by properties per year, that's 3 to 5. Basically, if you need to buy 10 to 12 properties, if you need 30 properties, you need 3 to 5 properties for 3 to 5 years. You get what I'm saying? Just look at how many properties we're acquiring per quarter, then you know how many per year, and how many years is it going to take you to get to 20, 30, 10, 15, how many ever houses you need to hit our equity target. Does that make sense? This is the sheet we fill out with everybody. And then once you know what this number is, it's like, okay, now every time we talk, every time we do a deal, we know what we just filled in. We know what part of our thermometer we just filled in. Close we're getting to our forever fund. Because this right here is our forever fund. This 50 grand a month, our 7.5 million at 8%. That's our forever, right? Does that make sense? This is all making sense. So years it will take to collect that equity, 3 to 5. Now, like I said, how long is it going to take to pay that equity off? It's going to be usually at least 1 to 3 times whatever we took to collect it. So if it took 3 to 5 years to collect it, it's going to take 5 to 15 to pay all of them off, pay off all that down, and to actually realize 50 grand a month. And in that meantime, you don't want to touch any of the money. You want to reinvest all of it, pay them down quickly. So if it takes 3 to 5 years to collect that equity, it takes 5 to 15. Now, beneath that is an example. If it takes 3 years to collect the equity, it'll take 3 to 9 years to pay it off. So take how long it takes to collect that equity. It'll take 1 to 3 to maybe 5 times as much of that time to pay off the property. Knowing we use different money accelerators. If you go through our deal dissection, because again, what we do is we sit down with you, your financial guy, or whoever you want, and we come up with exactly what the best plan is to pay these properties off as quickly as possible. Let's take all our positive cash flow. Maybe we use a line of credit, maybe we use another flip. We do a side flip, do some flips on the side to pay it down. Whatever we need to do, we want to make sure we pay it down at an accelerated rate. These numbers here, I don't want to project anything because that's why we use the deal dissection. Here's a real life deal and here's how we're doing it and you guys can see it. These numbers are very, very conservative. We do this on there, right? Because we got to collect equity and pay it off really quickly. If you want to be an investor, you want to apply to be an investor. By the way, we're not going to be working with investors much longer, which is like, why are you doing this? Well, we might have it's going to be a different process because we only work with investors right now to build our special needs group up because they're going out and buying 100 properties like this and paying them off. And once we get our funds up, that group has its funds up, it's almost there to be critical mass. We need a certain amount of money, about 10 to 20 million dollars, and then we can just keep doing our own deals and we have enough to cover every type of deal that we have. And we're almost there right now as far as our funding and our being able to do that with the group. And once we do that, it's going to be very difficult to become an investor. We're only going to work with the ones we're already working. But if you want to apply, if you think this is a good fit, if this is what you want to do, here's your information. Just include that and we'll be good. So use the practice GRS forms below. This is the get rich slow, the GRS model, to calculate the numbers for 10 to 30 grand a month and then other example incomes. The last page is the official one you can submit to apply to be one of our investors. Is this for you guys? All right, so you guys have done the 10. Okay, so no, do like a number you haven't done. So do like 25 grand a month or something like that. Right, so we take the monthly income times 12 yearly income, then take that yearly income times 0.08. That gives you our target equity. This is the number we want. How many $150,000 houses do we need? How many 100,000? Now we know how many 1% properties we need, single family, what the range is, like 5 to 10, 10 to 15, and then the same thing for duplex. And then we have basically two things here. How many single family and duplexes do we need? Every time we collect one, we know what our rate's going to be. Then we come down here to our acquisition schedule. How many are we doing per quarter? And then how many does that mean per year? And then how many years is it going to take for us to acquire? And then multiply that by 1 to 3 times. That's how many years it's going to take to pay off and actually realize this 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 grand a month passive income. Does that make sense? This is brilliant, right? This is exactly how to do it, guys. Exactly how we're doing this. What does it say at the end? Note your target income, asset acquisition schedule, and time frame determined above. Remember, you should have 100 grand cash, 700 plus credit score, and a good income of at least 150 grand. If you want to apply, you should have nearly perfect credit, 100 grand in cash, and at least 150 grand in your income because you need healthy income that you're not ever just, guys, most important thing, go through, I had a book review on the marshmallow test, delaying gratification. The most important part, once we start acquiring, do not touch that money. We have heroes right now that are doing like 3, 4, 5 grand a month. Like, oh my gosh, you know what? That would really help. No, take that 5 grand a month and keep applying it. What's going to happen if you don't apply that money? It's going to add years. The reason I can tell you that we're going to pay these properties off in 1 to 3 times what it took to pick them up is because every cent free money that we have of extra cash flow is going to go to that property. The reason why we buy properties that we can build up is so we have zero, almost zero, very little cost on the maintenance. We want a brand new property that's indestructible, right? They could be doing sumo wrestling and motocross and, cage fighting, do whatever they want in the living room, and we're going to be fine. That house could be hit by a nuke. You call it a drone strike. The house will be fine. Tenants now maybe, but the house will be fine. That way we know we're not going to spend time fixing up and doing repairs. We've got to have that because that's what's necessary. What do you keep looking at? Is it my skin stuff? We need to take a break? Okay. No. Oh, it's Mr. Gorgeous. Where did you put Mr. Oh my gosh. He's up in the corner. How are you going to put Mr. Gorgeous in the corner? I guess that's good. You guys are going to be too distracted with my sexual magnetism. Happens all the time. Guys, here's the sheet you can use. GRS form. Every one of these blanks I've gone over. You should be clear on that. At the end, if you want to apply, use that stuff at the bottom. Guys, please take this seriously. If you go through this, we take it out. We have everyone laminate this, put this on the fridge. You, your spouse, everyone sees this. It's like a thermometer you color in. That way, every time you hear from us, we're talking to people's kids and our heroes' kids. And we're connected to your family goals here. You are building generational wealth when you do this. We do it together. It's not that difficult. If you have any questions, let us know. Thank you so much. BigRia.com. Go there now. I love you.